Gentlemen, once again, Michael or Legacy Killer HD back, and today we are going to be taking a look at the top 10 of the very best upcoming open world games. In 2018 and beyond, we have a lot in store, from giant brand new blockbuster experiences to sequels to some of our favorite franchises. This is an inside look at some of the most impressive upcoming games. Nonetheless, make sure to share which games you're looking forward to the most in the comment section below, and let's begin here at the 10th spot with Death Stranding. It's an action open world video game being developed by Kojima Productions and published by Sony. It'll be running on the Decima engine, which was last used for Guerrilla Games' Horizon Zero Dawn. This will bring Hideo Kojima's next journey to life. Very little is known thus far about the actual story, other than the fact that Norman Reedus and Mads Mikkelsen will be portraying leading characters in the game through motion capture, facial scanning, and vocal performances, while famous director Guillermo del Toro will also contribute his likeness to another character through facial and body scanning. A female protagonist is planned to be revealed sometime in the near future. Hideo Kojima likened the gameplay of the game to that of recent AAA fare like Uncharted or The Division, just with a healthy dose of that trademark Kojima flair. Kojima describes Death Stranding as a game about how people are connected, and it has been reported that Death Stranding went into full development earlier on in 2017, and the plan is for the game to come out sometime in 2018. By far, one of the most anticipated PlayStation games is Death Stranding, and even with only teases shown thus far, fans like myself are so excited to see Hideo Kojima's first game since that whole mess with Konami. Now, to the number 9 spot we have is Borderlands 3. It's an action role-playing first-person shooter video game being developed by Gearbox Software. Not much is actually known about this next Borderlands, but Gearbox has begun to give teases through their latest game Battleborn, which they just recently moved on from. A while ago, we had a spray-painted hint of the probable location for Borderlands 3, and that is Promethea. And months ago, an Easter egg was discovered and deciphered from Battleborn reading the following: "Visit Promethea, children of the vault. We are not on Pandora anymore. Tannis is not what she seems. Do not open the vaults." It's been rumored that the Atlas Corporation will play a much bigger role if the game is placed on Promethea, and the last we heard of the Atlas Corporation was through Tales from the Borderlands, where Reese takes control of the company by taking Jack's stock certificate and sets out on a mission to restore Atlas to greatness once again. Also, a few months ago, we got our first taste of this game at GDC 2017, where it was shown that the game will be running on the Unreal Engine 4. Other details that have been mentioned are the possibility of Scooter's son Scooper being featured, multiple planets to explore, and this releasing in late 2018. Following some disappointing games from Gearbox, they are on the road to Borderlands 3 finally. Randy Pitchford, the CEO of Gearbox, had promised that they would only do a third game in the series if it was massive, and hints of us heading to Promethea indicates that. Following the ending of the second game, it left the door wide open for finding new vaults, and even hinted a war is coming. Everything so far about this next Borderlands sounds awesome, and this is the exact way Gearbox gets back on top once more. But to our number 8 spot, we have Ghost of Tsushima. It's an action open-world video game being made by infamous developer Sucker Punch. The game is set during the feudal period of Japan and will allow players to see the power of the Mongol Empire firsthand. The Mongol Empire has invaded the island of Tsushima, and players will attempt to fight back against the powerful force as one of the last surviving samurai. Sony and Sucker Punch have teased that you must move beyond your samurai traditions to forge a new way of fighting, the way of the ghost, as you wage an unconventional war for the freedom of Japan. It was only just recently, at the time of making this video, Sucker Punch revealed this upcoming samurai game, and I have to say it took myself and many by surprise, but it certainly is a pleasant surprise. This is a type of setting and story many fans have long wished for. With an amazing developer like Sucker Punch, who's been quiet for far too long making this, we should be getting something truly special in the near future. Now, to our number 7 spot, we have is Anthem. It's an open-world action role-playing video game being developed by BioWare. The player will assume the role of a freelancer, one of a group of bold and courageous people who leave their civilization to explore a lush and dangerous landscape. Fully customizable exosuits called Javelins can be customized to have various unique weapons and superhuman abilities. 2 classes of Javelins were shown during Anthem's presentation at Microsoft's E3 2017 conference. One was the Ranger, which is an all-around and balanced Javelin, and then the Colossus, which is a larger and more heavily armored Javelin made to fill in more of a tanking role. This game is a shared world, cooperative multiplayer multiplayer game that can have up to 4 squad members per team. Teams can fight savage beasts and ruthless marauders while exploring lost ruins and experiencing massive world-altering terrain occurrences such as Shaper Storms. Following Mass Effect Andromeda, this is BioWare's next title, which at least to me feels like Crysis and Destiny put together. The world looks vast and the combat looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, but I will admit, I still have a bad taste from Mass Effect Andromeda, which gets me worried, but let's all just hope BioWare can shock us with Anthem. To our number 6 spot we have is Far Cry 5. It's a first-person shooter action-adventure video game developed by Ubisoft Montreal and published by Ubisoft. It features a new character creator in which players can customize their character's appearances, gender, and skin tone. It will place a renewed emphasis on close-quarters combat compared to previous Far Cry titles by introducing a wider range of melee weapons like pitchforks, sledgehammers, and baseball bats. Joseph Seed will serve as the villain that has risen to prominence in the region. Seed believes that he has been chosen to protect the people of Hope County from an inevitable collapse and has established a congregation called Eden's Gate. But in reality, Seed is a radical preacher and Eden's Gate is a militaristic doomsday cult. Under his rule, Eden's Gate has used both coercion and violence to forcibly convert the residents of Hope County, as well as keeping the other residents from contacting the federal government for help. Seed, who assumes the title, quote, the father, unquote, maintains control over Hope County with the aid of his siblings known as the Heralds. But on the flip side of things, there is a resistance that is growing, and a previous attempt of arresting Seed results in the deaths of several lawmen, which brings our character into the fold, as they will take the role of a sheriff's deputy who is sent to Hope County to arrest Seed. Far Cry 5 really has an interesting premise, which has obviously sparked up some controversy. Personally, I think it looks great, and it appears that Ubisoft is adding and changing a lot of gameplay elements, which is a nice change, as the last 2 Far Cry games were pretty big letdowns to me. I do hope that the story doesn't follow the same pattern as Far Cry 4, which was pretty straightforward with taking out Pagan Min, and has a little bit more surprise within this tale. Now to our number 5 spot we have Sea of Thieves, which is an action-adventure video game developed by Rare and published by Microsoft Studios. A group of players travel and explore an open world via a pirate ship and assume different roles such as steering, hoisting sails, navigation, firing cannons, and other tasks. You'll be able to sail across varied seas and handcrafted islands, battling enemies, and unearthing the secrets of those that came before. Form a crew and voyage to treasure-filled islands, face legendary creatures, and test your mettle in epic ship battles against other pirates. Adventure across a vast ocean where every sail on the horizon means a ship filled with real players who may be friends or foes. There's just so much to love about this game. The art style is very unique, and the combat, adventuring, sailing, treasure hunting looks exciting. Back at E3 2017, the gameplay and trailers really make me feel a little bit more confident that this could be a hit for Microsoft when it finally arrives early on in 2018. Moving along to our 4th spot, we have Beyond Good and Evil 2, which is an action-adventure video game being developed by Ubisoft Montpellier and published by Ubisoft. It takes place a few generations prior to the events of Beyond Good and Evil. The game will have more traditional computer role-playing game elements compared to the first game. Players will generate a character that starts the game at the very bottom of the social system. The character can be male or female. As the player completes various tasks, they will improve in various attributes and gain spacecraft and crew members, which they can also improve over time. Players will visit planets that have their own societies, and by completing tasks on these planets, will gain new technologies or other facets to improve their spacecraft. The game will have single-player and cooperative player support. Even as a single player, the player participates in a shared universe, with some events affecting all players at the same time. Long considered to be in development limbo, Ubisoft shocked us with this reveal at E3 2017. It really feels that the developers at Ubisoft are just as excited as we are to finally get back into this world. Even though most of us wish for the story to continue forward, I truly feel that something special is being created within this prequel, and I believe in the vision that they have for this property. Everything that we've been shown and heard thus far makes me believe that this could very much be one of the best open world games to come. But moving along to our number 3 spot, we have is Marvel's Spider-Man. It's an action-adventure video game based on the Marvel's comics superhero Spider-Man. It is being developed by Insomniac Games, and we will assume the role of Peter Parker, who is 23 years old and interning at a laboratory whilst about to graduate from college. Peter has been Spider-Man for about 8 years and has settled into his role as the protector for New York City. Early on in the story, Spider-Man defeats Wilson Fisk, or the Kingpin, but a new gang emerges known as the Inner Demons, led by Martin Lee, one of New York's most prominent philanthropists under his alter ego, Mr. Negative. Things get complicated for Peter's personal life as Martin runs the Feast shelters located across the city, and Peter's aunt works at Feast. Interestingly, Miles Morales has been teased to be involved in the story. Players will be able to use Spider-Man's abilities such as web slinging and wall crawling, as well as new gameplay elements, one of which will be the ability to traverse using parkour. Environmental combat and stealth is also featured within the game. I have to say it, but from what we've seen, this Spider-Man is really reminding me of the PS2 days playing Spider-Man 2. I really can't explain just how excited I am for this, but so far the combat and everything about this Spider-Man game leads me to believe that this has Game of the Year potential. I also have to add, I wonder how Miles Morales will be involved in the story and how the Peter Parker aspect will play into the game. For myself, there really hasn't been many superhero games in recent years that has caught my interest, but this is a game that I've become more and more excited with as gameplay and trailers have been released. Either way, expectations are extremely high for this Spider-Man title. Let's just hope that Insomniac delivers. But moving along to our number 2 spot, we have is Cyberpunk 2077. It's a role-playing video game being developed by CD Projekt Red, the team behind the Witcher franchise. The game aims to be mature and ambitious, with character customization being strongly tied to the plot. Planned features include a non-linear story with different character classes, as well as both first-person and third-person perspectives. Cyberpunk 2077 will feature a dystopian, futuristic world in which ultra-modern technology coexists with a degenerated human society. It is set in an open-world large city called Night City, whose inhabitants communicate in non-English languages. Players who do not speak these languages can buy a translator implant in-game to better comprehend them. Along with the single-player story, Cyberpunk 2077 will also include a multiplayer component based on government funds that have been given to CD Projekt Red recently for this project. It's expected that the game will be finished by mid-2019. Recent reports have indicated that the game may be 4 times bigger than The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and feature some type of dynamic environment that after an attack or battle hits a part of Night City, over time robots will be fixing this damaged area, and even later in time the damaged area will be fully repaired or changed somewhat. Cyberpunk 2077 was announced probably a little too early back in 2012, but coming off the massive scale and vision of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, expectations are through the roof for this next upcoming game. From what has been reported, it truly feels like CD Projekt Red is going to bring something revolutionary, but it additionally feels like this is a game that is still a long ways out. Either way, as witnessed by The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, CD Projekt Red will take as long as they need to perfect their next RPG. Cyberpunk 2077 has become one of the most anticipated games because of the vision that CD Projekt Red has, and soon we should begin to hear more about our next upcoming adventure in the world of Night City. Now, before we get to the number 1 spot, I want to recognize a few open world titles that didn't quite make this list but are still looking to be some of the best open world experiences. First, we have is Days Gone, which is an action-adventure survival horror video game in which we take the role of Drifter and former bounty hunter Deacon St. John, who battles to survive against mindless zombie-like creatures, Freakers. Next, we have is Kingdom Come Deliverance, an action role-playing game that brings us into the medieval kingdom of Bohemia as we fight an invading army that has killed our protagonist's family. This game, which will have a focus on historically accurate and realistic content, will see our protagonist battling for revenge and ultimately striving to restore the rightful ruler to the throne in order to the land. Lastly, we have is State of Decay 2, an upcoming survival game which is the sequel to arguably one of the most enjoyable zombie games I played in recent years. This time around, State of Decay 2 brings us a cooperative multiplayer and an even more open and diverse world. Finally, to the number 1 spot, we have is Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a Western action-adventure video game being developed by Rockstar Games. Red Dead Redemption 2 will be played from a third-person perspective, featuring single-player and online multiplayer components. Red Dead Redemption 2 will also serve as a prequel, bringing us the story of outlaw Arthur Morgan and the Van der Linde gang as they rob, fight, and steal their way across the vast and rugged heart of America in order to survive. In April of 2016, months before the official reveal of Red Dead Redemption 2, the world map of the game was leaked, and aside from being confirmed by TechRadar's inside sources at Rockstar, almost every location on the map has been located within the 2 trailers. So Red Dead Redemption 2 will bring us east with various regions, including all involve West Elizabeth, which was featured in Red Dead Redemption. Based on the 2 trailers of this upcoming game, it also appears that Rockstar has made drastic changes to their game engine, this also being their first title made specifically for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Sony and Rockstar additionally have a partnership in place in which PlayStation 4 players will get Red Dead Online content first. Rockstar Games has been very tight-lipped on this upcoming game, but soon we should begin to hear much more as we get closer to the game's release. Red Dead Redemption 2's first trailers have shown off an impressive open world with potentially a working ecosystem, a bunch of new gameplay features, and an outstanding attention to detail. Coming off of arguably one of the biggest gaming experiences ever, Grand Theft Auto 5, Rockstar is out to prove themselves once again. Red Dead Redemption 2 is the next installment to one of the best single-player games ever, and from what's been shown officially and also leaked, this is an experience that could change open-world games as we know it. Rockstar Games has been quiet for far too long, and we're only months away from experiencing what their teams have created. For most of us gamers, we hope to see the return of one of our favorite video game characters of all time, John Marston, which is possible since the game is a prequel and involving his old gang. Aside from just the potential of seeing a younger and very different John Marston, I think I speak for many of us players who are ready to get back into the West. Anyway guys, that is the top 10 upcoming open world games of 2018 and beyond. Let me know down in the comment section below which open world games excite you the most, and make sure to smack that like button if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value. Also consider subscribing for all the latest news and countdowns on huge upcoming games, and I'll see you later.